The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining Ad Taxi today. We are going to be reviewing how to make a video strategy that doesn't get skipped. First, we are going to review the agenda. And what we're going to talk about is how the market has embraced digital video and is utilizing it across all different platforms. We're going to take a look at finding and activating your ideal audience throughout the funnel, how to identify the platforms that best align and influence your audience, and then finally, how to measure and attribute success with videos that are rarely clicked. So first, we're going to talk about the market adoption and how video just across all channels and all platforms are skyrocketing. And it makes me wonder why exactly it is that video is so popular and has such an intriguing value from a creative form. And what happens is it really appeals to the senses and engages all certain types of senses on sight, sound, and motion. And when you're able to pull those three together, you're able to elicit emotion. And as marketers, I'm sure we all know and understand that when you're able to pull emotion from people, you're able to resonate and make a stronger impact. And I think that's really a big piece of why video from a creative form is very impactful. And then we look at just the pure numbers and the stats that are out there currently, we can see that video, particularly connected TV and streaming, is up year over year, month over month. And let's dig in a little bit more. Taking a peek, 78% of people report watching video online each week. 55% of those are watching on a daily basis. So that's a lot of the public that is just engaging with video online on a weekly and daily basis. And then if we look at the age group that this online video consumption is impacting, it's obviously going up across all age groups, but particularly when we look at 46-year-olds, that's where the biggest growth point has come. And I think it's really interesting to note that, because you can see that although, yes, it's going up against all age groups, even within that 46-year-old age demographic who has a lot of buying power, also is around video consumption. 69% of people say that they most prefer to learn about a new product or service by watching video, which is very, very interesting, because as we know, as marketers, particularly when it comes to video, it sits in that awareness, it sits on that engagement side of things. And so when you're trying to present a new service or a new brand or a new product, people are really wanting to learn about you in the way of video. And then finally, 50% of linear TV and connected TV buyers plan to shift to an audience-first strategy instead of content-first. And this is via the trade desk. So I think this is a very interesting shift when we look at buying video and TV. Typically, it was purchased based on the channel or the show, so really based around the content. Whereas now with digital, we can do it based on audience and the type of people that we want to go after. So speaking of audience, it's really important that we understand who it is that we want to reach and how to engage them and get them activated across your business. And one thing to think about before we talk about anything else is the consumer journey. They go through a bunch of different stages before they get to making that purchase, right? They need to have a need. They need to have an interest before they're going to engage with you, make that purchase, sign up for a service, etc. And so making sure that you're nurturing and really having compelling reasons why they should stay engaged with you across multiple levels within the funnel is key. And we're going to talk about different ways to execute across the funnel. And I really want to start with pointing out two brands that are very, very well known. So we all know McDonald's, we all know Mercedes-Benz. And even these brands don't go into a new market and just open their doors and wait for people to come in. Yes, of course, some of that is going to happen because they have brand loyalty and they have recognition. But when they do go into a new market, they still flood that market with marketing, right? They utilize commercials, billboards, TV, social media, digital display ads. They are utilizing all the channels possible to make people really known that they are now in the market and that they are here and are looking for consumers to come and engage with them. So even big brands like this are doing it. So it just kind of solidifies the reason why we should as well. So 3 primary questions as we go through this presentation. 3 primary questions really need to be answered in order for you to have a really smart and sound digital strategy built. The first one is, who do you want to reach? Being very clear on the audience that you want to go after and engage. What do you want to tell them? What is that message that you're putting out there in front of them? And what do you want them to do? This is really important also. Understanding what that end goal is very key and will help you kind of identify the other 2 questions that I pointed out here. So first, we're going to talk about who do you want to reach. And primarily from a prospecting standpoint, there are 3 key levers that you can pull in order to find your prospects. First being the first-party data. So this would be your own consumer list. Third-party targeting. So all of that data that's out there about all of us in the marketplace, being able to leverage and how to best utilize that third-party data. And then finally, creating lookalike modeling off of it. I'm going to go a little bit deeper just to kind of give you some more insights, just in case you're not familiar on what they are or how to best utilize them. So first, when we look at first-party data, this could be your CRM data, right? Looking at past customers, past purchasers, very loyal customers. So really just kind of, you can break down and parse out your CRM list to, make segments, audience segments within that. You can also look at pixel data. So looking at the consumer behavior on your site. So seeing people who maybe are always going to one specific service that you have or one specific product. Maybe you want to really focus on that group and send them a special coupon or a special offer or incentive. From there, once you kind of have a good idea of your current first-party data segments, you can create lookalike modeling off of that. So you can say, hey, these people are very, very important to me. I would like to go find more like them. And so utilizing something like the trade desk, you're able to create audiences that are similar to the ones that you are already utilizing. And then finally, third-party targeting. This is just all of that data that's collected out there about us on the web and being able to utilize that. So these could be separate from the first-party targeting, so the current customers that you already have. These can be a separate group, so people that kind of fit the mold or fit the context or the behavior of the audience you want to go after. And just from a best practice, it's really good to start with 4 to 5 tactics along with a really smart retargeting strategy to make sure that you're casting a really wide strategic net of prospects. So you're not saying, you know what, I think I know exactly who my customer is and who that should be. And I'm sure us as marketers are pretty smart in what that is, but you don't want to leave anyone out. So by spreading your prospecting across multiple channels will give you more chances to learn new audiences and find new prospects to engage with. So the second piece is, what do you want to tell them? So really aligning your message with the buying stage. So again, when we think about how we are going to market to these different audiences, also think about where they are in the buying funnel. So if they're in the awareness stage where you're just introducing yourself as, a brand, a service, a product, what have you, having an educational video is very, very key. Think back to the stat that I mentioned, that people more likely want to learn about a new product or service via video. And so an engagement video at the very, very top is super helpful to get your message across and kind of share who you are and how you can help. Once they've engaged and kind of understand who you are, then they're down in that consideration phase, right? So maybe they have the need, they've found out about you, and now they're trying to decide, do I use you or maybe a competitor? So this is where an explainer video, a how-to video, what makes you different, would really be a great type of content or messaging to put in front of this audience. And then finally, when we're trying to get to them to that final point of purchase, a testimonial, a case study, just a brand reinforcement, whatever it could be to kind of set them over the edge to say, no, please come work with us. We know what we're doing. We can help you. We can solve your problem. that those types of messaging is very, very good. And then finally, a thank you video or an upsell video is great once that purchase has been made or once that sign up has happened. So it's a really nice way to create brand loyalty as well as maybe to get future purchases to happen. And then finally, when we think about what do you want them to do? So being very clear of what your end goal is. So if we look down here at this decision and loyalty section, there's the sign up, purchase, re-engage. So your end goal mostly is like, I want them to sign up for a newsletter. I want them to sign up for a webinar. I want them to buy a product from me. Whatever it is, that's your main goal. And what you want to do from there is work backwards. So what is it that they have to get to first before they can make that purchase, before they can sign up? What is it that they have to engage with you on your website first? Then go back from there, right? How do they need to hear about you? How do they need to learn about you? And so really being clear on the goals per stage is very key, and it'll help you then align platforms with that goal. So for instance, awareness is your goal, right? You want to just make sure that you're hitting the masses and getting it out there. Connected and addressable TV would be perfect for that. It's a great way to prospect, and then you add in some predictive modeling to make sure that we're really finding the right audiences, can get you to a very smart awareness prospecting strategy. From there, when we get people down into maybe they'll learn more or viewing products and making, looking at the purchasing segments, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, pre-roll, these are great platforms to help nurture people along from that awareness down to the consideration and decision phase. And then finally, which I'm going to dive into in a little bit, retargeting is super important across all of the channels I mentioned to optimize to actually getting that final conversion to happen. So as I mentioned, retargeting is key. And once we have a really, really smart prospecting pool to reach from and engage from, then we can set up some smart retargeting strategies. One thing to note, it can vary based on how many current clients you have or first-party data that you have integrated into your prospecting, but ensuring that you have your budget set up in a certain way is very, very key. So I recommend a 30-70% split, 30% going to retargeting, 70% going to prospecting to start to make sure that you're building enough of a pool to retarget from. And when we think about just how to set it up, you don't want to just put a retargeting pixel on your homepage and let it run. Instead, you want to set up some parameters to make sure, one, that you're spending your budget really efficiently and effectively, and that also you're prioritizing people who are further down the funnel on your website more than those that just come to your homepage and bounce. So if you look at this grid right here, you can see someone who comes to the homepage, they got to your website, they're still valuable, they're very important. You want to make sure that you're staying engaged with them in some capacity. And this is where you might put your bid optimization at 100%. That yes, I want to stay in front of them and I'm willing to pay just, this specific bid to reach them. But if they get down a little bit further to a category page or a product page, you want to bid a little bit higher. So you're going to put the pixel and make sure that your bid adjustment is a little bit stronger once they get a little bit further down into your website. Let's say they get to a cart page, right? So if this is a e-commerce example, they've looked at a product, they've put it in their cart. That cart person is way more valuable than somebody who came to just the homepage or just looked at a product of yours. So you want to make sure that you are retargeting them and bidding more effectively and higher on that person because they're a hotter lead, they're a hotter prospect. And then finally, the thank you, you want to make sure that you're following up with them with that upsell opportunity. And you can see here that the messaging changes as well. So by setting up not only a smarter and different bid adjustment, but you're also setting up different messaging to make sure that you're continuing to nurture them to the next step. Another thing to think about too is frequency. So understanding how many times you are reaching out to a person has an impact. There was a study done here by Stimula Media TV advertising, and what they had found is that there is a sweet spot of how many times you reach a person to where it either reaches them or deters them. So if you only reach somebody one time, they're likely to make a purchase, right, than somebody who never saw your ad at all. But those who are in the 2 to 5 times, so if you've reached them more than once, they are 4.4% more likely to make a purchase than those who even saw the ad one time. And then finally, if they get to the 6 to 10 times, they're less likely to make a purchase. So really that sweet spot is between 2 to 5 times. So as you are setting up, bid adjustments based on your retargeting, whether it's on prospecting or retargeting, making sure that you have frequency caps in place is also key. One, it's going to help you be really smart and efficient with your budget, but then also not add fatigue to whoever you're trying to reach. Finally, we want to look at the different platforms that best align and influence your audience. And there's 2 ways to look at the platforms that are available. There are something that we would put in the walled garden section. So these are YouTube, social channels such as Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, and then there's the open internet. And that's really where our programmatic channels sit, such as RTB, pre-roll, connected TV, etc. And I want to just explain the difference. So the reason why YouTube and those social channels sit under a walled garden is because you can only access those channels through them. If you want to be on YouTube, you need to purchase through YouTube. If you want to be on Facebook, you need to purchase through Facebook. And you're only going to get the audience that are on those channels at the time, correct? So thinking about that, that's why they're considered a walled garden. So you only access them through their channel, which is fine. They're all like very, very helpful channels. They are great. Video performs extremely well, obviously on YouTube. But you have to go direct to that channel. Whereas with programmatic, you can get to multiple websites, multiple things, and the learnings and data and results can be shared across connected TV, RTV, and pre-roll. Whereas with YouTube and social, all of the data, all the insights stay within that channel, and you have to manually go in and make adjustments and look at the data. Whereas within this programmatic space, those learnings can be shared and passed through. So if you think about just from the power of programmatic, from a standpoint of reach, one, thinking back to the stats that I started with, buyers are going to start focusing more on an audience first strategy versus a content first strategy. And this programmatic video set lends itself very, very nicely to allow you to do that and do that very, very smartly. The other thing that programmatic video brings to the table is quality inventory. They have a ton of inventory providers, 100 plus, that provides a ton of different websites and brand safe, viewable human content. And then finally, on the audience side, there are 194 plus third-party data providers. So it's just giving you access to segment audiences and really hone in on that ideal audience even better. There's 100 plus targeting segments you can access. And then also, finally, I would say there's a lot of really unique things that you can do here that you might not have access to on the other walled garden channels, such as cross-device targeting, advanced bid factoring, that frequency and recency bidding that I had mentioned. So being able to really add that type of strategy is very, very helpful. And again, you can do that across multiple channels within the programmatic space. Another thing to just kind of consider, connected TV is very, very popular right now, and it's something that just the marketplace as a whole is talking about. But it's important to note that you don't want to just throw all your dollars there and hope for the best because it's a hot topic. Instead, you want to think about the overall omni-channel type strategy. And we did our own test on our campaigns to see ones that we were running just connected TV only. And then when we're able to layer in other programmatic video channels into the campaign, what the results looked like. And you can see here that by adding more than one channel with video, that the users reached went up, the total website visitors increased, and the website activity went up as well. So everything escalates. So my point to you here is that yes, we want to utilize video. The creative form is great. Yes, connected TV is hot, but making sure that you're leveraging video across multiple channels is going to help the overall results in general. Now, when we think about measuring and attributing success to videos, I also want to look at it in terms of the funnel. So video is going to be able to drive a lot of awareness, right? So when we look at this top layer here, the awareness function, there's different points of measurement that you want to look at to determine success. So in the awareness factor, looking at impressions, looking at frequency, looking at that unique reach, that's going to be very, very helpful. But then when we go down another layer to like the consideration phase, that's where you're going to want to look at how many views did the video get? What's the completion rate? What's the consideration lift or the purchase intent lift? And then finally down towards the decision making and loyalty phase, making sure that you're deduplicating views across devices. So if I am watching a video and I get your ad on my phone as well as my connected TV, that I'm only counted once and not considered two different people. Attribution, so making sure that you're able to show that online to offline attribution, no matter where you've served them an ad. Also ensuring that you're able to look at that view through conversion. So somebody who saw your ad obviously didn't click on it. Video is very hard to click on, but did get to your site and made some sort of either purchase or showed engagement in some capacity. Looking at those audiences, again, that's just going to feed data into what your ideal audience looks like and who you should be continuing to put money into. So to summarize kind of some of the things that we reviewed today, one, video is everywhere and consumers are where the advertisers should be reaching out to, right? So we know video is important. So it's important that us as marketers are, reaching out to our prospects that way. Making sure that you answer the three primary questions as you're building your digital strategy. Who do you want to reach? What do you want to tell them? And what do you want them to do? Also understanding the differences between walled gardens and the open internet. And then finally, measurement is super strong, super important to obviously determining success, but making sure that you're utilizing different measurement tactics along the funnel and being very up to date with whatever has come out. Video is getting even more advanced and our ability to attribute conversions is increasing. So staying up to speed there is also key. So I thank you very, very much for joining. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to AdTaxi, info@adtaxi.com, or just visit our website and you can check out some of our blogs and some of our latest content. But again, thank you so much for your time today, and I hope that you all enjoyed the session. Take care.